All right. How's everyone doing out there today? This is Gold Pilled here with the Gold Pilled stream. And I want to do this, hopefully, a quick video about the new hottest theory on C19, and that's the snake venom theory. And it suggested it's in the water supply. I don't know if anybody has watched or heard of I don't know if you'd call it a documentary, but a video put out called Watch the Water. And that's supposed to be this bombshell breaking new take on how C19 originated. And it was made by old Stu Peters and a couple other people he knows. They put this together. It's pretty much an interview with Dr. Brian Ardis. And it's an interesting take, I will say that. Um, I have the video pulled up here. We'll go over some clips of it and a little discussion about it and put my opinion out there. The good thing is, it doesn't seem to be as readily accepted in the truth community as I thought it would be. There's quite a bit of healthy skepticism surrounding it in the truth community, and not everybody is covering it. It's not making the rounds on all the channels that I keep tabs on, so that's a good thing. Uh, the bad thing is there's still probably going to be a lot of people that believe it, and it's going to hurt the truth community even more. Make us look even more like idiots. And the main reason is because who this theory and video is trying to target. So let's screen share here and go over to the video on BitChute. So here it is. Watch the Water. And this was put up by my Data Dumper channel, who puts up things they feel is important. And this is from Stu Peters. Stu put all this together. He's from the Stu Peters Network, and if you didn't catch my previous videos, Stu Peters glows so brightly it hurts my eyes. I call him Stu the Glowworm Peters. The guy reeks of being a Fed. Absolutely reeks of it. Never had a YouTube presence. Somehow has his own site and platform to put out videos and content. Very high production value, but came out of nowhere. Where did he get his supporter base? Where's he getting this funding from? Somebody's funding him. It's reeks of Fed, reeks of PSYOP, reeks of IIA. And some people are catching on. Nice try, Fed. Stu Peters, disinfo agent extraordinaire, enough said. So that's a good thing. Good thing people are seeing this stuff. And who was this video targeted at? Well, that right-wing, conservative, Christian, Republican supporting, Trump toting demographic that I've spoke about previously. Because this video plays the Jeebus card. And the conservative right-wing Christians just gobble the Jeebus card up when it's played. It's becoming very sad. And here it is. The connection between this pandemic and the eternal battle of good and evil, which began in the Garden of Eden. Oh, biblical. Makes you just want to believe every drop of it. But before you do that, realize this is the perfect example of limited hangout, where they'll throw you bones. They might even throw you 80% bones, 80% truth. But then they're going to sprinkle in that 20% lies. And most people, they don't have the IQ or the intelligence to discern between the two. And they take it all down as being factual and truthful. So you got to be very, very cautious of stuff like this and this propaganda, which is pretty much, all I talk about in my videos is the IIA, the propaganda, the subversion, and how to spot it, and how to kind of discern the information better so that you won't be duped. So let's get this video started and watch the opening clip here.
We are good to go. So earlier this month, a lot of you may remember a post that I made on my Telegram channel. There was a lot of concern about the water and not to drink it, and there were certain things that I could say and could not say, and I referenced that certain people's lives might be at risk, and one of those people is here with me now, Dr. Bryan Ardis. Thanks a lot for being here.
I do really appreciate the opportunity to do this. Yeah, this is actually going to be the only time I've ever been nervous in any interview. I'm not kidding. Like, I've never been nervous to discuss anything in relationship to the COVID pandemic whatsoever. But this has bothered me and has scared me.
Putting things out is probably oftentimes the best way to protect yourself. But people have lost their lives over what you're about to tell the world.
I have to get this off my chest. My spirit's like screaming to say something and bring it to the forefront to protect as many innocent lives as possible. That's all I've been trying to do since May of 2020. As you know, when I read Anthony Fauci's memo on remdesivir, when I actually just clicked the links to the studies that he was quoting saying that remdesivir was safe and effective, I knew right away that he was lying. I knew right away that this drug was going to be used to mass murder a whole bunch of innocent people in America that did not need to die. Then he was going to sell the world on the idea in the media that they were dying of a virus, when in fact I knew they were being poisoned to death with this drug. I knew 30% of all people were going to experience multiple organ failure, kidney failure, septic shock, and hypotension. That's what the studies said. Now we're a year and a half after that, and it's exactly the numbers that I said based on those studies. I'm pretty much called the remdesivir guy everywhere I go, which is odd for a retired chiropractor to be referenced as a pharmaceutical guy. But it is true, remdesivir is a very toxic, deadly drug. There are a lot of medical doctors and professionals who will mention it that as it's just proven to be ineffective. It is not ineffective. It is very toxic and deadly. It is known and proven to actually injure specific organs in your body. It targets specific organs. This is a part of why I think my spirit is so moved to make sure this gets out, is that
You're overselling it there, Bryan. Way overselling it. You're coming off as non-believable there, buddy, with that big old pause, acting like you're ready to break into tears and you can't speak because you're just so worked up. Completely overselling it, non-believable.
in January, January 21st of this year, so just 2 months ago, the FDA decided to authorize remdesivir as the only drug to be authorized to be used in all newborns in this country. I cannot even fathom the men or women in charge that would actually do that. So it's now been moved since January 21st of 2022. It's been moved out of hospitals as the only drug to be used, only allowed in hospitals this entire pandemic. Now they're moving it into in and out of hospital care for children as young as newborns 7 pounds heavy through the 18-year pediatric age range. It's the only authorized drug. There is nothing else that they're allowing for COVID-19 treatment. And I find that incredibly evil. And then they've also now canceled monoclonal antibody uses throughout the United States and all U.S. territories for COVID-19 early treatment, and they're moving remdesivir to the infusion centers where they were using monoclonal antibodies as the only IV infusion drug allowed. I have been moved with one singular purpose since May.
Boy, look at that nose on Stu Peters. Well, that thing just sticks out there. If I didn't know any better, I'd say he was a member of a certain group. I can just see the little curly locks coming down past his ears, coming out from under the hat. Big full beard on him. Let's continue.
Of 2020, when I read Anthony Fauci's memo about remdesivir, I felt this spark inside of me that I now had to go voice to the world a warning to try to protect as many innocent lives as possible from being killed.
All right, let's pause it right there for a second and talk about some things. So the opening, like I said, that's pretty good information. The remdesivir and being toxic and poisonous and killing people who it was given to, and the data and numbers behind that he talks about. That's all true. That's good information. That's true information. That's damning information, and that gets people in there like, oh yeah, wow, this credible information. And, that's how they suck you in and get you believing it, priming you for the nonsense that's about to come. Now, a little bit about Dr. Bryan Ardis. He's been around the truth community here for a while now, since C19. And he's always come off as mostly credible in my eyes. I haven't noticed a lot of disinfo coming from him, but he's kind of gone off the deep end here now. So, and his little pause with the getting worked up and almost crying, I've never seen him do that in any of the interviews I've seen from him. And I've seen probably quite a few now. Even when he talks about C19 protocol killing his father, he's never gotten that worked up. And that's what I thought he was getting at. But, his dad dying is what got him on that. But it ended up, he was just getting worked up because they allowed the remdesivir for babies. So not even his dad that he lost due to the protocols. Something else, hasn't firsthand affected him. And he's getting all worked up like that. He's completely overselling it. And it just comes off as not being genuine. So besides the overselling the remdesivir to babies part, what about Dr. Bryan Ardis? Well, he mentions in here he's a retired chiropractor. So he really, I guess I'd say he hasn't practiced medicine. I don't believe being a chiropractor, you're diagnosing and treating stuff with pharmaceuticals and whatnot. So I'm not sure how he became a frontman for the C19 truth narrative, but apparently his background is a chiropractor, and he looks pretty young, but he's retired already. So it makes you question his history and his past. And, why has he come out to be a face of this? Like I said previously, I've seen quite a few videos of him. And he seemed, mostly credible information. And very likely that, that's intentional. They bring him out here and they do a limited hangout, but on the, long term, where he comes out, he's credible information. You start trusting the guy, and the next thing you know, they turn and they, come out with something like this. And then you automatically take him as credible because everything you seen prior was credible, and now this is all credible. So Dr. Bryan Ardis is kind of no longer on the credible list for me. He's on the shade list. And I don't need to say any more about Stu Peters. First time I seen the guy, he glue like a glowworm. I don't know if glue's a word, but he glues like a glowworm, old Stewie Peters. So the next part of this video, it says, do the opposite. Well, they go into, if the mainstream media is telling you something, it's a very good chance that you just look at the opposite for the truth, or do the opposite. And that's actually very, very true. So, there's some more truth and credibility in this limited hangout video. Let's play a little bit here.
So let's talk about what happened. It all started with a text. There's a medical doctor that I admire and love because he is nonstop from the beginning of COVID, has had the ability to project information and say to people around the world, you do not have to fear COVID. We have an answer. This guy has been on many stages with me. He still practices right now medicine and is an ER doc, and he sent me a text. It actually was dated December 1st, and I did not see it until like December 18th. I don't know how I didn't see it, but the text read, "Hey, Dr. Ardis, if you got bit by a rattlesnake, would you go to a hospital and get anti-venom?" And I realized when I saw him that he must have saw an interview I did on InfoWars. So Kate Daly did an interview with me and wanted to go over my thoughts of monoclonal antibodies. Well, I had been given some research studies that actually bothered me. I didn't like the idea based on the data in these research studies. I didn't think monoclonal antibodies were safe long-term. Not short-term, but long-term. Right? Now, I read the actual text message, got in the shower, and while I was in the shower, I was sitting there thinking, why would he send me that text? It has nothing to do with COVID. Like zero, nothing to do with COVID. So I'm going through this, and I'm thinking about the text, and all my brain keeps going to is, why is he mentioning, wouldn't I go get anti-venom? Is there something about anti-venom I don't know? So I actually got out of the shower, went and got on the internet, and I wanted to know what is anti-venom? Only to find out that most antivenoms are monoclonal antibodies or polyclonal antibodies. And then I got it. Then I knew why he sent it to me. He wanted me to immediately see a question that he knew I would say, of course I would. If I got bit by a rattlesnake, of course I'm going to go to the hospital and get anti-venom. So in his mind, I think he knew this was a way, or God inspired him to send me this message, that Dr. Ardis would be able to relate yes to the answer, then go figure out why it is he would say yes.
So it starts with that text about he was against monoclonal antibodies, but apparently anti-venom is a form of monoclonal antibodies, or poly whatever antibodies, he says. And did you notice there that he drops the Jeebus card again? So I got this text, or God sent me this text, playing the Jeebus card, getting that right-wing Christian conservative group in there. And this is what kicks off the snake venom theory. He theorizes that they banned and stopped the monoclonal antibody treatment of COVID-19 because it was effective against, venom. And the video goes on here to to suggest that that remdesivir, that might actually be derived from venom. Now, he doesn't say, that they extract venom from snakes and they're using actual snake venom. What he gets at is they studied and researched the venom from these specific snakes, kraits and king cobras, and they can replicate it. They can make synthetic venom. They break down the venom structure into, whatever, the molecules, the makeup, the DNA sequencing of it. And by learning all of this sequencing and, the molecular structure and stuff, they can replicate it. And that's what they're doing. They did, a bunch of studies on venom, and they're using what they found in there and certain peptides and other parts of the venom that, makes it effective and work. They're using that in remdesivir. And he goes on to say remdesivir looks, just like snake venom and this and that, and it could easily, be said that it's remdesivir, and actually, it's a poison, which, whether it's venom or not, the remdesivir has shown to be pretty much a toxic poison. But he suggested that the remdesivir, could be synthetic created based on snake venom to hurt people. And who knows, maybe that's true. It's definitely toxic and poisonous, and it does kill people. So maybe they did create it from sequencing based on snake venom. Who knows? I'm not a biologist or whatever the person's called that sequences stuff like that, plays with that. I don't know. I don't do that. And then he goes on to suggest that the same thing is in the jab, that they were, doing the sequencing and research of the snake venom, and the mRNA research is based on, snake venom, and that's incorporated into the jab, and the jab's hurting people like that. And then I don't know why he comes out and says it's in the water. He actually did another video the very next day or so after this, and he clarified that, he's not saying it's he's 100% that they're putting it in the water, but it's his theory that he said, well, I was asked, well, how would they get it out to everybody? And he said, well, what ways are there to get it out to people? Putting it in the water would be one of them. So he's not 100% adamant it's in the water. That's his working theory, that, how else would you get it to people? Well, put it in the water. And he wasn't suggesting that they're putting actual snake venom in the water. It's synthetic. Like I said, they've sequenced it. They know what makes it tick. They know the makeup of it. They know the structure of it, so they can recreate it. And being synthetic, they could create that on a large scale, to put in a water supply. But the whole water supply of the United States, to do that, that's absolutely unbelievable. And there's many, many people that are not on city, so to say, city water, through water plants. There's many people that got wells, springs. So, it's in the water. Absolutely not believable. Now, that's the BS part. Now, the truthful part is the research and stuff that they've been doing on snake venom. That's all true. But linking the two together is where it starts to become, misinfo, psyop narrative, propaganda. And that's where they get you. They give you all this, believable, credible stuff at the beginning. And then they bring in the nonsense. And you go through this video, and he brings up articles and stuff of them, openly saying they're doing research on the snake venom and whatnot. That's true. It's very tempting, to start believing all of this because of that. But it's not what it seems. It's not what it seems. This is there's some angle to this. I don't know why they're putting this out right now, but there's a reason they're putting this theory into the mix. So let's continue here and skip through. I'm not going to cover much more of this. If you want to see it, you go on YouTube, BitChute here and find it and watch the whole thing.
I'm sitting there realizing that antivenom is monoclonal antibodies, and that I immediately revert back to, in my own head, I'm not trusting anything the CDC, NIH, or FDA says. Is our federal health agencies, are they recommending monoclonal antibodies for COVID-19? Now, this is in the middle of December. Stripped out monoclonal antibodies, they're pushing NAC, yes, and acetylcysteine. So that the things they tell you to avoid, we know they're telling you to avoid because they work. So when I realized that the federal health agencies actually were not supporting monoclonal antibodies, I mean, it's in an instant, they know they work.
And we believe that this
is a huge story. They're all telling the same story around the world. Whenever anybody says anything against that narrative, What do they use now to combat that in the mainstream media?
Disinformation.
Yeah, they call them fact checkers.
Yeah, fact.
The snake is mentioned, fact checkers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Constantly fact check it and spin it to the bats. There's no fact checking about bats. They keep letting you look at bats. In the beginning, in January of 2020, the scientists.
So he starts out saying how one of the original theories of what animal it came from was snakes. And he's saying, oh, they covered it up and pushed bats in the pangolin, and they covered up the snake, part. And apparently they, a couple articles did mention snake, but that doesn't mean anything. And then he goes on, kind of to lay out the theory. I don't have anything. Here's the remdesivir, how it looks like snake venom in a vial. And let's see, that news article was talking about something. Let's hit play quick.
Towards COVID a year and a half ago.
Chilton says he got blood samples from more than 100 patients in a New York ICU. They either had no COVID, a mild, moderate, or severe case of the virus. He did some fancy schmancy artificial intelligence in his lab and discovered 2 distinct patterns in the people who were dying from COVID.
These patterns, number one, told us that the vital organs were in trouble, but the other looked as if they were being attacked by some enzyme.
He says he then found the highest concentration of this enzyme that has ever been found in humans.
These levels attacking internal organs means multiple organ failure and death.
So where do the rattlesnakes come into play?
This enzyme is a humanized version, part of the same family as the active ingredient in snake venom.
In simple terms, this enzyme related to rattlesnake venom that's been found in humans is likely causing tremendous damage, leading to COVID-19 deaths.
And then they take you through all of the elevated enzymes in the blood samples of these people that are naturally found in rattlesnake venom and viper venom that are in levels they've never seen before. You want to know how they got there? 5 to 10 days of remdesivir. They've known since 2005 if you inject a mouse with cobra venom, you inject it like they're doing with remdesivir, injecting it into your veins, it actually causes a cytokine storm in the lungs of all animals. I am convinced that COVID-19 is not a respiratory virus of any kind. It is actually venom poisoning, and they're using, I believe, synthesized peptides and proteins from venoms of snakes, and they're administering them and targeting them to certain people. Now, the amazing thing about these 19 toxins found in cobra venom, they're specifically sequenced to target specific organs, like the pancreas in a diabetic, like the heart in a heart disease patient, like the liver in a hepatitis patient.
Wait. So if I die because I'm a cancer.
So that showed a news clip about linking snakes to levels of certain things in people that have been dying from COVID. And from what they've shown us in data and stuff, that stuff is true. And, that lends credibility. And he's saying how those 19 things that whatever they target, they mainly target certain organs. Well, if you've been studying the C19 and stuff, and the research behind the mRNA jab, it does seem that they are targeting certain organs. Now, it's very possible that, when they created this jab, and, they are targeting organs, it's very possible that the basis of all that research and technology was snake venom. So, that might be true. The basis of the stuff they're giving people, the remdesivir, the jab, that all might have been, formed on, synthetic, sequencing of, snake venom parts. That could be 100% true. And there's evidence to suggest that it's true. What's not true is they're putting snake venom in the water. That's the disinfo propaganda part. That makes us look like idiots. That discredits the truth community. And I think that's the purpose of this video. They put out, evidence backed, factual information, that a lot of it is true, and he very well could be exposing, what the jab and the remdesivir and stuff is based on. But it just all gets swept away, as disinfo and retarded because of snake venom in the water, blah, blah, blah. That's all you hear. That's like the title. People just see the title and move on. Watch the water. So it's just to make us look bad. It's to hurt the truth community, to discredit us, and make us look like fools. And it's succeeding. Couple people, in the truth community, they just laugh at this, notion. Oh, venom in the snake water, that's ridiculous. Well, if they'd watch this and pay attention to the video, there's a lot of truths in here. But they're not poisoning us with snake venom, let's say remdesivir, the research or the work, done to create remdesivir, is based on snake venom, molecules and peptides and whatever else it's made up of. Well, if they use that to create remdesivir, that's a far cry from remdesivir is snake poison. They're giving you snake poison. It's just based on that. The creation of it is based on that. It might be synthetic, created, tweaked. In that news article, they said it was a human-like venom derivative. So it's like they played with it in the lab. The gain of function, the man-made. So who knows what they're playing with in the lab and creating their own synthetic derivatives from, and creating new things and altering this to make it, do that. And so I'm perfectly open to believing that, remdesivir, has been created from a venom. And even the mRNA jab, I'm open to believing that, some of the basis on the creation of that is from venom. So, that's all believable. But like I said, it just gets washed away with the nonsense of venom in the water. So, excuse me. And like I said, he goes on here he goes from remdesivir, being the poison and in there to it being in the jab. And he shows articles and stuff that show that they are playing around with the snake venom on the basis of the mRNA jab. And then where he really dupes people and gets you in is he goes into the battle between good and evil and what else would you use besides the serpent? Because the serpent, is such a biblical figure in the tempting Eve in the garden. And, the devil's the serpent, and now they're using the serpent against us. Oh, it's so biblical, and this and that. And he plays the Jeebus card real hard. And so many people gobble that up and buy it. And it's sad. But that's the overarching propaganda in here, is playing the Jeebus card into it. And then another thing is he says how it seemed like smokers weren't getting the C19 as much as other people, or dying of it as much as other people. And so now the big thing going around is, the smokers, or the nicotine blocks the snake venom, so smokers aren't as susceptible to it. And it's just a laughing gag with, the nicotine blocks the snake venom. That's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous reason why smokers, aren't getting this. And blah, blah, blah. It's honestly, thinking about it, this video was just to make the truth community look bad. People are going to look at it. They're going to laugh. They're going to go, truth community, you guys are so, so dumb. It has no credibility. And they're going to laugh it off and totally play this off as being ridiculous conspiracy theories. When in actuality, there's probably a lot of underlying truth in this video. But people aren't going to discern that truth and extract it because the whole thing's going to get dismissed as a ridiculous conspiracy theory of the truthers. Oh, venom in the water. You guys are dumb. You guys are crazy. You're schizophrenic. You have a mental condition. And all the truth that, has been laid out here and all of the, credible underlying research, links and stuff to venom, that just all gets brushed under the rug then because it's laughed off as a conspiracy. So, you gotta watch for his propaganda. This is high level propaganda. Like, they know what they're doing. They know putting this out here, they can put truth in it and they can get it laughed off, as ridiculous and, put a stigma around it and everything. And so I don't know the exact purpose, what their end is when they put out this video, this specific video. I don't know what the end is, the end goal, the end achievement for it. But there's a reason why they're doing this. And whether it'll be successful or not, I don't know. But it's doing a pretty good job of making the truth community look like a bunch of idiots. So if that was their end, they are succeeding in that. I'm sure there's many ends that this video serves, but... So I think that's about all I want to cover with this. I didn't want to make the video too long here, just because this is kind of a hot topic going around, the truth community. I want to give my opinion on it and get my opinion on YouTube, because like I said, I think they censored this from YouTube. So that means it's credible. That means you can trust it. Not always the case. They censor stuff on YouTube to make you think it has credibility, to dupe you in. You got to remember, the subversion that they are doing is many, many, many layers deep. It could be 12, 24, 48 layers deep of subversion that they are doing. And it makes it to where it's hard to believe anything. You're just confused and disoriented all the time. And I don't know how much research everyone's done into the truth community, but that's part of their plan, is to have everyone confused and disoriented, not knowing what is real, what is not real, what to believe, what not to believe. That is a goal of theirs. The disinfo age, the post-truth community, where pretty much nothing that you're given is the truth. It just leaves you in a stupefied state, not knowing how to react, how to move forward. That is a goal of theirs. Those are their intentions. So all this just plays into it and, muddies the waters, so to say. So that's where the higher level thinking comes in. That's where the higher intelligence comes in. That's where the higher level discernment comes in. And reaching the gold pill level, so you can spot all this stuff. And spirituality does not hurt. Look for it inside you. God is inside you. You can interact with him on your own. You do not need an organized mainstream religion being a gatekeeper or a mediator between you two. And everyone is a part of the source. So open up your heart and ask for guidance from the higher realm. And you will be on your way to seeing things more clearly. So I think I'm going to wrap it up there, guys. Everyone, take care out there. Don't fall for this propaganda, but at the same time, don't dismiss the truths that this propaganda, might cover. I recommend you watch that video. Watch the water. There's a lot of good info in there, but it's not what it seems, and it's not the laughing stock that people are making it out to be. And, they're not poisoning us with venom. So that's the main thing. It is a lie on the front, but underneath, there is truth to it. So you watch it, discern it, come to your own conclusions. Take care, everyone. I hope you all do well. I am out. Peace.